Good morning everybody and welcome to the Monday Recharge. It's a beautiful sunny morning here in Sydney this morning, so I'm just off to see a client shortly, but I really just wanted to talk to you about an article I've actually written recently, but it's something that I'm really passionate about because I've been speaking to lots of clients recently about managing the different generations that we have in the workforce, and the thought that we now have 5 different generations in the workforce I think is actually quite scary for some leaders, and to be honest, I kind of don't know why. We're all still humans. I understand there's been a lot of stigma around, Millennials and Gen X, Gen Y and what these people want, but at the end of the day we are all humans. And I think if we can start to understand each other and understand what drives us, yes, there may be some commonalities amongst Millennials or Gen Y, but let's really start thinking about them as individuals and start, finding out what it is we need to do to be able to manage these people. But let's not also forget those people who are leaving our workforce at the moment. We are losing so much IP. And we seem to have lost our ability to pass on information. If you think about the old days, the tribal sort of piece, information was passed via storytelling from the elders to the younger people in the community. And I really feel that in the workplace, we're really missing out on that opportunity. There are a lot of people with a lot of IP leaving our workplace who a lot of the time don't want to leave our workplace. They can't find work. And they've got so much knowledge and a wealth of knowledge around business in general, but seeing the circular things that happen within businesses. And I think we need to remember that we need to keep them engaged as well and try and utilize the information that they have and work out how we can keep that in our organizations. So today, I really just wanted to talk to you about the 5 generations that we're now working with here in Australia and what we can do to really try and motivate all of those different types of people when we're leading them. So we've all heard all of the stereotypes, millennials get it the worst at the moment, the poor millennials. I think they're about 62% of the workforce that are millennials now managing other people. But they're now still being stuck with this stigma that they're all socially, social media obsessed and they're really difficult to motivate and they don't want to be in the office from 9 till 5, who does? And just that they're, this awful group of individuals who really are struggling in the workforce because, they just want to be in a role and then be CEO the next year. Clearly that's not the case. I heard a great one the other day about baby boomers, that they really lack technical skills and that they're all micromanagers. Clearly this is absolute nonsense. We can't stick a label on someone just because of their age. So I think it's really important that we don't get caught up on age as leaders. And this can actually be quite difficult. I've heard a lot of leaders mention recently, well, they're young, they're still immature. Yeah, they might be young, but they might have some fresh eyes and some fresh ideas and some thoughts on things that you've never seen before. So it's really important that we really don't get stuck on age. I think when you're staring down the barrel of a deadline, you really need to know how to work together as a team. So whether you've got a baby boomer, whether you've got a Gen X, a Gen Z, a millennial, whatever you've got, you need to understand what motivates the individual. So as the survey that came out from the Predictive Index People Management Survey that recently talked about what makes a good manager, one word that kept coming out was honesty. So I think with these individuals, we really need to have some open conversations and really start understanding what makes each individual tick. So if we can open up and be honest and start having those open conversations, I think that's a really good starting point. I read an article recently that Harvard Business Review had also put out about cross-generational mentoring programs. I actually do think that's a really good idea. I think there's a lot that the younger generation can be learning from the older generation, but by the same token, I think there's a lot the older generation can be learning from the younger generation. So I think it's very good when you've got a new manager, especially a younger manager who's going to be managing older people. I think it's really good to have that mentor there because, there are different boundaries, there are different, we've all grown up very differently, right? And, when you're in your 50s, 60s, we've grown up with a different way. We've grown up in, the way we have worked and the way we have dealt with managers, we haven't understood what these millennials or this Gen X or Ys or whatever have come up with. So I think it's really important that we start talking about that. And that way we can really build that cross collaboration, and we can make it a bit easier for the younger person to understand what's going to be important for the older generation. Respect is a really big thing. The way that we communicate, whether it's face to face or over text message or on, Slack, on an app or whatever it may be, that's really important to have those conversations. And by the same token, I think it can be quite eye-opening. I recently had a gentleman, he is retired. I think he's been retired about 10 years, but he's not really retired. He still does some consulting work. He's probably in his 70s. I don't like to guess ages. But he's probably in his 70s, and he says he learns so much from those, 20-something-year-olds, because they're coming to him with these new ideas, new apps, new ways of communicating, new ways of collaborating, new ideas, fresh thoughts that he's never seen in the workforce. And for him, it's really invigorating, and he's using that in his daily consulting now. So I think there's so much that we can learn from each generation. Let's not be scared about it. Let's just start talking. And let's make it okay to talk about these things. Again, building those honest, open conversations is what's really going to lead us to better results. I must be honest, I'm not a big believer in the monthly one-on-ones. I think you can catch up and have coaching moments with people on a daily basis. But obviously you're not always going to be talking about the same things. But I think it's really important that very regularly you are asking for feedback from the individual. So those open conversations might be something like, what else can I do to support you? Another good one is, what roadblocks do you have in the way at the moment, and how can I remove them for you, or how can I help you and assist you? And when you start having these conversations, you're starting to understand what challenges this person is facing. I'm going to go against something that I really don't like here, because I hate surveys, but I think surveys for surveys' sake are pretty useless. But I do think when you're managing people, and especially people across, as we've talked about, 5 generations, they're going to be motivated by different things. So I think it's good to have that pulse check on your employees, not every month. I'm talking bi-yearly or yearly, annually if you can. Let's get a pulse check on what is important to our employees. What are they enjoying? What are they not enjoying? And really just get that pulse check. And you need to be really transparent with these surveys. You need to, show the results to everybody. You need to talk about the positives, and you need to talk about the areas for improvement. And then the action plan, what you're actually going to do to improve those areas. You do not know how valued people will feel when they know that they've been heard and that something is being done about it. As Steve Jobs once said, it doesn't make sense to hire smart people and tell them what to do. You hire smart people so that they can tell you what to do. So if you can build that open, trusted, honest relationship with them, you're off to the best start about how to understand how to get the very best out of your people. And at the end of the day, isn't that what's going to make you a great leader and get the results that you want? Obviously, with such a diverse workforce comes diverse skills, so diverse ways of communicating, diverse ways of collaborating, but also a lot of diversity in, how we manage risk, how we delegate, how we make decisions, how we take action. There are all sorts of things that are going to be very, very different. And that's not just across the generations, that's across individuals, right? We're all different, and we need to really start embracing that. And that's what I'm doing at the moment, and why I'm utilizing the predictive index tool is because this is a really quick and simple way to, within 5 minutes, understand the person that you're talking to, understand what motivates and drives them. Are they the kind of person that, they need to make an impact, that they need a challenge? Are they the kind of person that, they need regular feedback, they need recognition, they need, collaboration, they need people and around them, they need inclusion? Are they process people who need time away from the business to think about the business? Or are they really structured people who need a lot of detail? And I see a lot of this at the moment, a lot of experts in their field who are just not getting enough information or enough structure for what they need to perform best in their role. Now, we've hired all these smart people. Let's start investing in them and understanding how to get the best from them. So tools such as the predictive index can be absolutely fantastic when you're trying to understand and motivate your teams. So if you are keen to start utilizing tools such as these, or if you're using tools such as these already and then, the reports have been put in the drawer and no one's looked at them again, why? This is what happens. Start looking at this stuff. Let's start doing something about it. So if you're interested in talking to me about how to manage across the different generations, more than happy to chat. If you're interested in talking about the predictive index, again, more than happy to discuss. And if you'd like to have a look at how the tool works, then more than happy to show you. So I hope you all have a good week. Hopefully that's helped you understand a little bit that it really isn't about the generations or sticking a label on somebody. Let's really start understanding that we're dealing with individuals. We're dealing with humans. Let's forget business to business and business to consumer. Let's get back to H, human to human. Life would be so much easier if we started to understand that. Anyway, I hope you all have a great week. Thank you for listening to The Recharge, and I look forward to talking to you all again soon.